call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Yes! Music, gaming, Disney+, Hulu, ESPN+, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head and Shoulder Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head and Shoulder Scalp Shield, never not working.
Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music. The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character.
Oh, that spin class was brutal.
Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call a credit.
Welcome to another edition of the BCSN SportsWrap with Brian and AD. Well, I fulfill my half of the obligation. I showed up. Partner Brian is off tonight. Had some other obligations, had some personal obligations that he had to handle. So sitting in for Brian tonight is Jamie Walker. I get to move over to the big chair, let Jamie sit in my chair. So, Jamie, I hope that the chair is comfortable enough for you. How you doing, my brother?
I am well, man. I am well. Hope all is well with everyone there in the universe. But glad to be here. You know, I'm going to keep the second chair warm for you.
All right. All right. Well, hopefully I can fill in that first chair for you and do what Brian does. Hey, you know, who knows? Maybe I might do my own thing along with the BCSN SportsWrap. Got to keep that SportsWrap thing going, though. That's where we started at. Anyway, y'all see that button down there? If you're on YouTube, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button for me. If you're on Facebook, it's a button down there, probably on this side, you know, kind of hard looking at this camera, trying to figure out where those buttons at. But hit that share button if you're on Facebook, the like and share button. Also, you can find us on Twitter at MyBCSN and the number 1. And if you happen to miss this, please go back, listen to the audio version of this on Spotify, Anchor, and in any of your listening platforms. Look for the BCSN Pod Zone to catch up with all the latest news and shows from the Black College Sports Network. And most importantly, Jamie, I need them to donate a cup of coffee. So not only do I need you to like, to subscribe, and to share, I need you to donate also. What you think about that, my brother?
Coffee is important nowadays. You know, people can't survive without their coffee. So, you know, if you feel like, you know, and just obliged to do so, go ahead and donate a cup of coffee. You know, so we can continue giving you this good content.
There you go. There you go. Speaking of content, my brother, you're in media. You've been in media for a while, just like I have. We all know the famous Friday news dump, right? You put
We do.
news out on Friday afternoon after lunch so that it gets buried by the time you come back to work on Monday. No one is talking about it. So if you have the Friday news dump and you believe in it, then what do you call when news gets put out on Saturday? Is it a news berry?
A news grave? I'm not sure.
I got you. Anyway, this past Saturday, Savannah State had the news berry announcing that Maurice Flowers had stepped down as head football coach at that school. He had only been there he had the COVID spring, and then he had this fall season. So this is, I don't know if you want to say it 1 year or 2 seasons, whichever way you want to look at it. But he was only there for a short period of time, which made people wonder, like, why was this news put out on Saturday, Jamie? Then you find out 3 days later that this news was put out on Saturday because in order to take his next job, he had to resign from his previous job. And that next job is Maurice Flowers is now the head football coach at Johnson C. Smith. And he is an alum and played at Johnson C. Smith. So after a national search for a head coach, to take the Bulls to the next level, they settled on Coach Flowers. Coach Flowers stood out as the right person for the job at this point in the university history. I'm happy to welcome him back to his alma mater and look forward to his leadership as he builds a winning tradition that makes all Smithites proud. And that's a quote from Johnson C. Smith president Clarence D. Armbrister. So, Jamie, we shifted the football head coach opening from the CIAA to the SIAC, and I believe there are two openings in the SIAC now, with Fort Valley joining Miles, awaiting the announcement of their head coach. Your comments on this, Jamie?
Well, I think anytime you're dealing with a situation where the alma mater comes up and you have an opportunity to go back and lead a program that you once played for, I always think that's an ideal situation. It's always in the back of people's mind that played at a university and wanting to go back and Johnson C. Smith's been down for a long time. In film study and just looking at them and it's not really a program that's had a lot of success the last few years. So I think, with Coach Flowers, going to Fort Valley this year, he's had some bright spots. He had a bright spot this past year in certain spots, but I was able to call their game against Clark Atlanta. And, they had some potential, but it was one of those things where Clark Atlanta just came to play against them. And so, it wasn't a thing where the returning, players were coming back to just, contend for the SIAC automatically. Of course, they would have had to compete. But I think they had a young quarterback, young players in spots, but promising pieces. So it was a surprise to see that he was actually leaving for the job. When I saw it come across the wire, I'm like, okay, really? Wow, interesting. But then when you read into, him wanting to lead that program at Johnson C. Smith, return to an area he's familiar with, it gave me that Dawson Odom vibe. In that it was Norfolk State's not Dawson Odom's alma mater, but he's familiar with that territory. So, once you broke it, kind of broke it down, it wasn't a surprise. It wasn't huge.
Yeah. What also I find interesting is the athletic director at Fort Valley, Dr. Anthony Holloman, is also a graduate of Johnson C. Smith, and he and Flowers were teammates at Johnson C. Smith. So, I kind of found that interesting. He went home to his alma mater instead of, staying there and working for his former teammate. So, just a little interesting dynamic to throw in there. Flowers is a 1996 graduate of Johnson C. Smith. At Fort Valley, Flowers led the team to a 5-5 finish, 3-3 in conference in 2021. And he was 2-0 in the shortened spring season. My memory of him is that 30-0 whooping that he put on my alma mater, Tuskegee, in the inaugural Red Tails Classic on national TV, my brother. So, were you there at
Yeah,
that
which
game?
I was there at that
Yes.
game, and
Yeah.
what made that game so interesting was, I think Fort Valley had won the previous game against Mississippi College, and you saw, the potential they had going into the season. So, once they dominated Tuskegee in that game, and you're thinking, okay, they're just going to ascend from there, but they kind of fell back. I think, rotating quarterbacks, rotating, running backs. I think the defense kind of gave up some big plays and really wasn't the same after that game. So it was one of those things where maybe he saw the writing on the wall, even though, again, you're going to a Johnson C. Smith program who has not tasted much success here lately. But there's a lot of buzz in that South Division anyway, with Livingstone getting new facilities, and there's an opportunity, besides maybe Fayetteville State dominating, and you got the Shaws and those, people within the CIAA. Maybe he feels that it's just a matter of righting the ship and getting that program on good footing, that he can actually jump back in contention in the CIAA instead of what he saw in the SIAC. So it's an interesting philosophy. Hey, good luck to him.
Yeah, I think the road to the top is a little bit easier in that CIAA South is versus the SIAC East, where you've got a Savannah State, you've got an Albany State, and you've got a Morehouse team that you're looking up at. And Benedict has been a traditional power also, and Clark Atlanta is a team on the rise. So, that's 5 of the 6 teams that you're competing against that are going to be slobber knockers every Saturday in the SIAC East. And we know Fayetteville is the power of the CIAA South right now. You've got the traditional power of Winston-Salem State, but after that, it's pretty much up for grabs in the CIAA South, Brian. Lord Jesus, I'm used to talking to Brian.
Hey, I'll be Brian today.
Yeah, well, wouldn't you agree with that, though, Jamie?
I would agree. I think when you're talking about, you are talking about some heavy hitters coming into that area. But there's a couple of questions I have too, because I really haven't heard anything. Number one, has Clark Atlanta hired a coach yet? That's what I was wondering about. I don't think they have. I'm not sure.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. And two,
and
are they going to realign those divisions?
They're going to have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm wondering how
you've got Allen and Edward Waters coming in. Both of them are on the east side. Edward Waters has been playing a west schedule while they're going through the transition. I'm pretty sure that was probably part of the negotiations, because I guarantee you, no one in the West wants to consistently travel to Jacksonville to play ball, number one, especially in the non-rev sports. And then you can get away with it in football, but in the non-rev sports, they definitely don't want that Jacksonville on there. And then with those two teams coming in, the logical thing to do, since you brought it up, or to shift those two Atlanta teams to the West. And
it does make the most sense.
Leave everyone else in the East. That would leave you basically the I-95 corridor, which would be Edward Waters, Savannah State, Allen, and Benedict, and then the other Georgia schools being Albany State and Fort Valley State the east side, if you shift the other two teams to the west. That would be my
that makes all the sense in the world.
at the SIAC offices listed. But hey, they didn't call me for advice, so that's my only free unsolicited advice to the day. Anything else, go you'll have to hire us for a consulting firm. last thing on Flowers, prior to him coming to Fort Valley, he was the offensive coordinator at Fayetteville State in 2017 and in 2019, where he had one of the top offenses in the CIAA. He began his coaching career at Johnson C. Smith as the OC and the quarterback coach, and then he believe he spent some time at Miles also. And something I did not know is he was a two-sport athlete at Johnson C. Smith there, Jamie. Played basketball at Johnson C. Smith in addition to playing football at Johnson C. Smith.
Very interesting. Very interesting there. He's all tied in there. And I can understand, after, getting, letting Kermit Blunt go, them and him being a logical choice. He has buy-in to that school. He definitely has skins in the game. So good luck to him. Good luck to him. That fan base wants some success.
Yeah. Jamie, did you know we are now playing volleyball at HBCUs? Specifically
yes, I did.
SIAC. And we've got 2 teams pick up their first win in program history. Both of these wins occurred on Saturday. Now, we're going to have to go through and actually look at the stat sheet to see which one of these wins occurred first chronologically. But congratulations to Edward Waters and to Kentucky State for picking up their first collegiate wins in men's volleyball. Edward Waters picked up a win against Erskine, I believe Erskine's in North Carolina.
I think it is North or South.
Division 2 teams in a 5-set victory, 22-25, 21-25, 25-13, 25-17, and 15-13 were the scores in the Edward Waters matchup. And also on the same day, Kentucky State picked up a victory against Carolina University. So that score was 25-23, 31-29. That's a lot of points in volleyball. 25-21, 25-20, and 15-7. So that was the score in the Kentucky State matchup. I know we don't talk about it often, but any comments on men's volleyball?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think whenever you can add sports in general, and again, balance it out with what your school's mission is in general when it comes to athletics, I think it's a good thing, especially on a Division II, division, even on the Division I level, but Division II and the HBCUs, because I think it goes to diversify what goes on within your athletic programs. It gives more students opportunities to be at your school. And I think, there's an attraction level there when it comes to attracting more talent athletically as well. I think, and Roy has talked about this several times when it comes to adding sports and embracing soccer at the HBCU level as well. And so when you're having, volleyball, I know Florida Memorial, for example, added beach volleyball. I think when you're talking about just more sports to have on for HBCUs, I think it's a good thing as long as you can maintain it. Make sure that you stay within those Title IX regulations and have a good overall program, and that you fulfill your obligations to that program so they're top notch. I think it's a good thing.
Well, the one thing about adding volleyball is you don't have to purchase any additional equipment, because if you have women's volleyball, which most of our HBCUs do, you've already got the poles, the standards, you've already got everything that you need. I'm not sure if they use the same ball, but if that's the only thing that you have to do is purchase additional balls, then why not? Just like basketball, everything is the same for basketball except for the balls that you actually play with, because they're two different size basketballs. That's number one. Number two, I think it opens us up to diversity on the international front, because you have so many European, African, and other people from Asian who play volleyball. This opens up the cultural diversity of our HBCU programs and gives those non-traditional HBCU students an opportunity to go to an HBCU and further their education. But like you said, if we're going to do it, we have got to fund it. We've got to fund it. And we've added volleyball. Let's bring swimming back. Swimming was a staple at HBCUs for so many years, in addition to soccer, because there's no reason why HBCU should not have soccer when you consider that soccer is the most played sport in the world, especially in the motherland, where our roots actually come from. Before we were historically black, we were historically African. So it would be nice to have soccer on more than, I believe, 2 campuses that we have them on at this point in time.
Excellent point. Because I also think you said, and I think that's prevalent when you're talking about the international flavor that it brings, but also it attached you to Olympic sports more as well, because volleyball is one of those. Men's volleyball is as well. I think it still is anyway. So I think when you're talking about how HBCUs have infiltrated, even on certain levels, you're talking about track and field. Of course, my alma mater, North Carolina A&T, with the buzz, last year, and having those athletes compete in it. Hey, why not open up another opportunity for this to happen from the HBCU level, that you're bringing, again, that exposure to your school? So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Now, this was not a Friday news dump, Jamie. This actually came out midweek. So kudos to the GCAC for putting this out midweek. This came out on Thursday from the GCAC office, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Following a unanimous vote by the Council of Presidents, the league has extended invitations of membership to Oakwood University, Wiley College. I thought that one was a little bit interesting, and Southern University at New Orleans, SUNO, as we all like to affectionately call it. Wiley joins the GCAC after participating as a member of the Red River Athletic Conference, while Oakwood and SUNO are currently having their application for NAIA membership reviewed and are pending final approval by the national office. Once approved by the NAIA, the 3 members will officially join the GCAC on July 1 of this year and begin play in the league this fall. So after Xavier left the GCAC to join the Red River, the GCAC welcomes Wiley out of the Red Rivers, and it's the first time that the GCAC has expanded west of Louisiana. The GCAC has gone as far as South Carolina, as Voorhees was a former member of the GCAC at one point in time, but never have they gone west of Louisiana into that Texas market, which ironically is one of the reasons why Xavier left the GCAC, because they wanted to get into that Texas market where they recruit so heavily from for that school located in New Orleans. So what do you think about the GCAC's expansion? And kudos to Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes for going out and getting these schools in. And let's not forget, Fisk joined the GCAC this year quietly. A lot of people don't realize Fisk is in. So after all the teams left, Edward Waters is leaving to go to the SIAC. Talladega left. Xavier left. Now the GCAC is pretty much back on solid footing, as we were kind of scared that the GCAC may fold less than a year ago at this time.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, we've been talking about conference realignment and conference expansion really for a lot of and you know, you could talk about the big boys and girls, that within the Power Fives and even within major FCS conferences. But I don't think people really thought that conference realignment within HBCUs would be this prevalent, especially after Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman joined the SWAC, that even the trickle-down effect of teams and conferences and, just schools in general are getting in where they fit in at this point. And I think when you're talking about the separation of these conferences and just monetarily, what is more prudent, what is more effective for your schools, you have to look to put yourself on really good footing. And I think with this expansion, it's a great thing because there are a couple of things, and I've talked, on all kinds of shows when it comes to conference expansion, even talking about my own school. And I think for me personally, I think preservation of HBCU culture, it should be a factor within whether or not you join a conference. So if you can keep these schools together, if you can keep culture preserved, then conference expansion should be a good thing. Like I said, the SWAC, for example, and I keep harping on that one because I think the things that they're doing, the moves and methods that they're having, is a good thing. It's slow, methodical, but it's in to preserve HBCU culture, and I think the GCAC can do the same thing. I think when you're talking about the leadership within that entire conference after losing teams, still maintaining their footing, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind for Oakwood, this puts the GCAC back into the Alabama market after Talladega left them this past season, and once upon a time, Steelman was there for a cup of coffee in the GCAC. But this puts them back into the Alabama market. Number one, almost has kind of a natural travel partner with Fisk there in Nashville. So you've almost back to the point where you've got travel partners again. Got Suno, who is a former member of the GCAC. The only reason they're not currently a member is because Suno, because of other circumstances, dropped all of their athletic programs. So they went right back into the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, where they were up until 2019, just before the pandemic, is when they dropped their athletic programs due to some financial concerns. And once again, entering a new market into Texas with Wiley College. So, it's going to be interesting, going to be fun. Great basketball conference. You're adding a couple other power basketball schools, so why not? So what we're gonna do now, Jay, is we're gonna take a break. Coming up after the break, it's hoop season, brother. Let's get into some hoops. Let's come back when we come back from this break. We're getting into Division I basketball, both on the men's and the women's side. You listen to the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Jay Walker sitting in for Brian. We'll be right back after these messages.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Sharpshooter who put it on the floor and pull up for a deep three. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Brown, say it with your chest, Dan Brown. Your sharpshooter who put it on the floor and pull up.
Beat us like we just saw right there, and then we had some blowouts here in SWAC play and throughout HBCU basketball. Let's start off with we'll start with the game that I worked yesterday. Shout out to my buddy Charles Edmond for letting me fill in for him. Charles was under the weather, gave me a call, so I got to travel back. And Jamie, you've probably had to do this also. Isn't it kind of strange when you travel back to your alma mater travels and you happen to be calling the game for the opponent and get everything and hired by the opponent, but you have to call like you are a fan and alum of the other team, bro?
Absolutely, man. It's you got to keep in announcer decorum. So yeah, it is odd. It always a game when I can imagine. Now I have not had to call a game. This is crazy. I have not had to call a game with A&T involved yet, but
yet.
For example, being a PA announcer for Morehouse and then having to do play-by-play afterwards, and then in the next game, and then not showing any favoritism, just keeping it right there in the line has been a little bit easier than calling for your alma mater. But yeah, I've definitely been in that position before.
Jamie, that is the third time that I have had to call for the opposing team against one of my two alma maters. And you almost catch yourself with the excitement in your voice and realize like, oh shoot, I'm not supposed to be rooting for them. Yeah. Even though in my heart I'm rooting for them, but in my wallet I gotta root for the other team.
Absolutely.
But anyway, hey, talk about the hottest team in the SWAC right now. Might be the Florida A&M Rattlers. Winners of 4 in a row, all of them in SWAC play. And they used a 17-4 run to walk Alcorn down for a 70-68 victory in Tallahassee, Florida. Leading the way for Florida A&M, MJ Randolph with 21 points and 5 assists. He's leading in both those categories, and it was an amazing game. Alcorn dominated the game for 35 minutes. FAMU could not get anything that it needed to get for 35 minutes. And that last 5 minutes of the game, Alcorn couldn't throw the ball in the ocean from the shore, standing on the beach. And sitting there calling the game, and I was thinking to myself, it's like Alcorn went into its 4-minute offense with about 8 minutes to go. And I think that kind of killed the momentum for the Alcorn State Braves. You got any comments there, Jamie?
Most definitely. Whenever you go, because I kind of kept up with this on the box score too, and they were talking about just Florida A&M being able to just get hot, and we all know and been around enough basketball to know, runs come in. You may be down. It's not like you can control the clock always. You got a shot clock involved. You got different mechanisms. If you can start getting hot and play some defense, then you can get back into a basketball game. So it's one of those things where whenever you dominate early, and kudos to the atmosphere at Florida A&M as well. They said it was a definitely a factor in them getting back into the ball game. But it's just one of those things where hey, once the student body gets into it, and you see those things happening, and then you can hit a couple of shots and see that score start to flip. You can get back into a ball game easy. So it's amazing. Florida A&M has been able to come into this conference and really, really show their might coming from the MEAC into the SWAC now. And hey, they're making some noise and definitely will be in contention going forward.
Alcorn coming back to the pack. There's a 4-way tie for second place in the SWAC men's side with Southern leading the way with a 5-1 record. And speaking of Southern, did you see the whoop that they put on UAPB? 99-51. Let me say that again. They almost doubled them up. 99-51.
That was ugly. That was truly ugly. And I think because wasn't the UAPB that I forgot what team it was against, where they made them run sprints. They made them run sprints in the middle of the game.
They needed to run some sprints in that game also, man.
I tell you what, it could be an instant of a team shutting down on you, but just give credit to Southern for a second. They're able to score. They've been in the thick of things in that division as well, and so their ability to shoot the ball along with just playing sound defense. You can see the score on the board and just say, okay, hey, they're dominating and shooting, and that very well maybe so. But to be able to hold a team to 54 points, these are Division I basketball players.
50,
let's keep
51,
this
51, my brother. you gave
51. Okay, my fault. Gave them 3 points. So 51 points in a collegiate basketball game is huge. So kudos to Southern's defense on that. If you can continue, turning a team over like that and just playing stifling defense, hey, you're gonna win more ball games than you lose. And of course, if you're able to hit shots on top of that, hey, you'll have these scoreboard leaning sessions that you had against UAPB.
Speaking of 51 points, I need you to do some math for me. Terrell Williams, 21 points. Tyrone Lyons, 19 points. Brendan Brooks, 11 points. You know what that equals up to? That's 51.
What does that equal up to, sir?
51. 3 people scored the same amount as an entire team. And when you have 28 turnovers as a team, it's kind of easy to see why they only put up 51 points.
Very much so. I mean, if you can't get balanced scoring, I mean, you have some of those that will definitely be standouts. But along with that, if you're looking at squads that just have 3 people that are able to get in, hey, you're doing the right thing. So, kudos to that squad once again. We'll see what they do going forward. I know, one of the biggest Southern fans out there, both men's and women's, Keisha Kelly, gives all the updates when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, hey, she feels this team can continue moving forward.
Quick recap of the rest of the scores from Saturday. Grambling 68, Valley 64. Bethune with the upset over Jackson State. I know our brothers from the pregame show are not feeling good about how they got started on the Florida swing after getting off to a slow start throughout the season. Yeah, I hear what you hear, Jamie. I just want you to know that. But nobody else hears that. It's just you and I.
Okay.
Okay. Prairie View 70, Alabama State 67, and Texas Southern, another blowout. Texas Southern 78, Alabama A&M 44. That takes care of the SWAC men. moving over to the BAC men's side, your former conference there, where yours and my former conference. We had Howard 91, Morgan State 82. That was a track meet there, my brother. 91 to
Most
82.
definitely.
Howard get back on its winning ways. And speaking of Howard, let's just stop right here. Give me your thoughts on Monday night against Notre Dame.
I think it was a good day for HBCU basketball because I and I think people kind of forgot the McCool Maker, dealing in last year and how he all of a sudden left. And so I think Howard basketball had been forgotten about, and maybe even in certain circles, it was an opportunity for people to pounce on HBCUs. But give credit to Howard University kind of righting the ship and actually showing and displaying, even though they lost. And people don't believe in moral victories a lot of the times. I think it gave a golden opportunity for HBCUs to be on display. The pageantry of what we do, people were able to look and see what goes on with a good program. And so when you're looking at Notre Dame having to fight and scrap to get that victory, our teams are formidable. I don't care what you say, how much money goes into a program. Basketball especially, can be a huge equalizer. You've seen HBCU upsets over the years in the NCAA tournament, and so it wasn't a surprise one this year
to me. Texas Southern over
exactly
Florida.
Against Florida. I'll let you finish. So it's not. Basketball is one of those sports that it's a little more equal on the playing field. If you talk about what football is, like I said, I'm a football guy, but you talking about equaling of the playing field takes a whole lot of economic prowess and economic infusion of dollars and programs to get that more on an equal playing field. Whereas basketball, you get you a few players and go into the mix with whatever school, you can make those turnarounds fast. So I was proud of the way Howard University really, really displayed that might. Like I said, still a loss, and I know I know those guys in the locker room afterwards was like, okay, we were almost there and wanted that victory. But, to the rest of HBCU, nation out there, hey, we were standing behind you and wanted you to pull it off, but are proud of the effort you put in.
My thoughts on Monday afternoon were have nothing to do with the product on the court. Yes, it was a good game. Yes, anytime you have an opportunity to take the last shot for the tie or for the win, that's all you could ask for as a coach outside of the W. So thankful for a competitive game. But the two things that I wanted was shout out to Fox Sports. The features that they had in and out of timeouts and commercial breaks with the various people speaking on Dr. King or HBCUs or HBCU experience and all that stuff. Shout out for them putting that package together. That's number one. But even more important than that, to a tech nerd, a tech geek, they showed that game in 4K, bro. The investment that it takes to show a game in 4K, I don't care what sport it is, they actually pulled out all the stops for this game. And found out it was on 4K by accident. I've got 4K service. I have a 4K TV in my living room. And I went into the living room in the second half to go in the kitchen to do something. So I flipped the game on, and I was watching something else on their channel when I flipped the TV on. And I'll be doggone if I don't see Howard Notre Dame on the 4K channel. So I sat in the living room for the rest of the day instead of watching the game in my bedroom. So I was like, they actually showed this game in 4K, which means they invested even more dollars into this game and not just set the quote unquote 3-camera setup that a lot of times that we get at HBCUs when we on various networks. And it was not on Fox Sports, but on over-the-air Fox. That was the other thing. So everyone had the opportunity to watch it. You did not have to have a certain cable package to watch this particular game. Those are my takeaways from this game there, Jamie. Moving on
Which
down
was
the line.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the tech guy that you are, but I mean, just those factors. Just anytime you can invest in us believing in our product and not just doing it just because is a good thing.
Yeah. Moving on down the line with some other men's BX scores from Saturday. Norfolk State 84, Coppin 77, North Carolina Central 73, Delaware State 49. Another blowout there to add to the blowout category. South Carolina State gets back on its winning ways, defeated Maryland Eastern Shore 69-60. You know what's significant about those four scores that I just gave, Jamie? It's the first time this season that the BAC has gotten all their games in on a particular day without a postponement.
Yeah, they've been having a tough time
with the full slate.
Getting their games in and just having to postpone this, reschedule that. Yeah, it's been tough. It has been tough.
Yeah. A couple other scores around HBCU men. Tennessee State defeated Austin Peay 65-61. Tennessee State, another team that you're going to have to keep an eye out for as we get close to tournament time, especially in the OVC. Your alma mater, North Carolina A&T State, with a narrow victory over UNC Asheville on the road in the Big South. Have to kind of get used to the Thursday, Saturday, or the Wednesday, Saturday that the Big South does instead of the traditional Saturday, Monday that the HBCU conferences do there, Jamie. And last one, Hampton. Hampton fell to Radford on Saturday. That score was 54-51 in Big South play. So moving on over to the women's side of the ball, Jamie, is anybody going to beat Jackson State in conference play?
No.
Is anybody going to beat Jackson State in women's play this year?
I don't think so, but
I think the only thing that's going to defeat Jackson State is would be COVID. Would be the only thing that could defeat Jackson State this year. Go ahead with your comment.
No, good call. I thought FAMU would give them some trouble this year, but Jackson State's women just look unbeatable because and I've seen highlights of them. Kudos to the pregame show and just others, but that team just looks relentless, especially on the defensive end. Like they scrap and are just well put together. It's been the last few years for that program that they have been able to just dominate the SWAC. So I'm not sure who will be able to beat them.
Yeah. I thought Alabama State would be a formidable opponent for them, but they handled them like a child when they played them. Dariana Lewis with Alabama A&M, I thought would give them a decent challenge. Also, did not happen. So the question is, can Jackson State? Two questions: can Jackson State go through the conference and the tournament and the O? And if anybody who knows what I'm talking about, without a loss, that's number one. And then, what can Jackson State do when they get on that national stage in the NCAA tournament? We know they were there last year, did not perform so well in the tournament, and their non-conference this year was average. Did not beat any big boys. Also a couple other mid majors. So can Jackson State, with the momentum that they gained in the SWAC, make some noise in the NCAA tournament? Those are the two questions that I have for them. Moving on down the line.
Well, that'll be the next step. Yeah. I mean, that'll be the next step in what they choose to do, because I'll never give conference tournaments or undersell them, because when you're gathered together and you're playing for conference pride and you want to take down the top, I mean, it's one of those things where everyone acknowledges that they are on top of the conference and they're going to get everyone's best shot. So within the conference tournament, we'll see what happens, but definitely I'm curious, just like you, about what they'll do going forward in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and Lord, let's hope that Jackson State does not get tripped up in the SWAC tournament, does not even have that opportunity to get to the NCAA tournament. Moving on over to some of the other scores in the SWAC. Alcorn had to forfeit its game to Florida A&M, COVID. Monday's game against Bethune will also be a forfeit for Alcorn. So 2 more losses for Alcorn. UAPB 76, Southern 64. There's another team that may be able to do a little something to Jackson State. UAPB women have had a good run this year. Grambling 76, Valley 61, and Alabama A&M 71, Texas Southern 67, Prairie View 61, Alabama State 58. Moving over to MEAC play. Morgan State 67, Howard 61, Norfolk 71, Coppin 60. That little, I don't know what you want to call it, quadrant up there in that northeast part of the MEAC. That's always competitive. Those are always going to be good ball games between at least 3 of those 4 teams up there, year in and year out. And looks like Morgan, Norfolk, and Howard are going to be the classes of that half of the conference once again this year. North Carolina Central 75, Delaware State 54, South Carolina State 54, Maryland Eastern Shore 50. Moving over, Tennessee State, another team that we need to keep an eye out for. Before we even get into the score, they won 2 OVC weekly awards for the Tennessee State women. Sierra McCullough and Gia Adams secured the OVC weekly honors as the duo took home newcomer and co-freshman of the week honors. McCullough recorded a double-double with 11 points and 8 boards against Murray State. And Adams led Tennessee State with 22 points. And this is for the prior week. So usually those awards come out on, I believe, Monday from the OVC office. If I do remember correctly there, Jamie. And they did pick up another victory against Southeast Missouri on Saturday. Excuse me, this was Thursday. Southeast Missouri 68-53. They picked up a victory against Southeast Missouri, but they did fall short to Austin Peay in the last moments on Saturday, 72-60, 72-69. Moving over to your alma mater there, Jamie. If my links will work, all of a sudden my link doesn't want to work. Let's see. They defeated Winthrop 87-64 on this past Saturday. And last one is Hampton. Hampton defeated Hampton was defeated by High Point 71-45. So there you have it, the Division I women's. Jamie, any final comments on D1 women before we go to break?
I mean, just A&T's women just kind of bouncing back. They had some tough sledding early on in the season. Of course, a couple of reschedules, but they get their second straight blowout win, and so looks like they're getting on proper footing at this point in the season as well.
All right, with that, we are going to take a break. Coming back after the break, Jamie, we're going to get into Division II basketball. Yes, we're going to get into Division II basketball, both on the men's and the women's side. And you want to see some teams with some W's? You got to go to the smaller schools, the D2s and the NAIAs, and see some teams with some double-digit victories on the season. This is the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Drew, JB Walker sitting in for Brian Fulford. We will be right back.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language. And she really loves her grandson. Like really loves.
Charmin Ultra Soft.
More buzzer beaters, my brother. More buzzer beaters. And no, I did not throw that in just because that was Tuskegee. I just wanted everybody to know it was a buzzer beat. I would have thrown any buzzer beat in. But moving. Go ahead.
Nah, man, I love it, and that's almost the truth in what you just said.
Man, you supposed to back me up, because if you don't back me up, I might not invite you back, man. Nah, I'm just playing. Even though we just saw Ben's highlight, let's start on the women's side of Division II. Let's start with since we're at the Chappie James Center in Tuskegee, Alabama, let's start with the Golden Tigers, who after a 2-week layoff due to COVID got back on their winning ways and picked up 3 victories this week, including a 78-54 victory on yesterday over LeMoyne on. And, talking about one of these teams that are tough to beat, well, the SIAC has 4 teams that looks like they're going to be tough to beat, and it's going to be real fun come tournament time. On the west side, you've got Tuskegee and Miles. On the east side, you've got Benedict and Savannah State, which was a top 5 BCSN top 5 matchup that we'll get into as soon as we finish talking about this game right here. But for Tuskegee, they had 4 players in double digits. Jatoria Willis with 17, India Blakely with 12 points and 5 assists. Shyla Jackson, last year's BCSN Player of the Year, had 12 points and 6 boards. Oh, I'm sorry. Jatoria Willis, I said 17 points. I don't know how I skipped over the 11 rebounds that she had in that double-double performance. And Jasmine Manuel had 10 for Tuskegee, and Brittany Bolin had 11. 5 players in double digits, my brother, in a 78-54 victory on this past Saturday. But the game of the day in the SIAC on the women's side had to be Benedict knocking off previously unbeaten Savannah State. Savannah State came into that game ranked number 22 in the nation. Benedict with a sound 74-65 victory over the Lady Tigers. Defeated the Lady Tigers. You know, I have to think about that sometimes. Why are half of the HBCUs nicknamed some type of tiger?
I have no
total
idea.
Tangent. Total tangent. But Benedict improved his record of 12-6, 72 in the SIAC. Savannah State drops to 14-1, 8-1 in the SIAC. So the top matchup, those two teams will meet again, this time in Savannah, Georgia. So I believe that game is in February. If my producer can tell me in my ear, he keeps up with that. Let me know when I have to go down there and help out with those Savannah State games. But Benedict got behind by as much as 12 points early in the second quarter. Cut the lead to 25-19 at the half on a 3-pointer by Anaya Armstead, and then the second half belonged to Benedict. So, you know, the two top matchups there in the SIAC. Any thoughts on that before we switch over to the CIAA?
No, I mean, just Savannah State's, you know, getting that first loss. I mean, they were absolutely dominant in conference play going, you know, right before that loss. But I think sometimes when you're in the season and you're you know on the cusp of doing some great things, sometimes these kind of losses can actually help going forward to just know what your vulnerabilities are. So, you know, I think Savannah State will be back. Again, they've been dominating the entire season, so they'll be back on track soon.
Well, I just think back to last year when Tuskegee lost to Benedict, and then defeated Benedict the next 3 games, and which was kind of submitted Tuskegee's women on getting to the Division II tournament. Matter of fact, the only team that got into the NCAA tournament on the Division II level last year. Moving over to the CIAA on yesterday, Lincoln, PA defeated Virginia Union 69-51. And Jamie, there's some Sunday action going on in the CIAA also today. Before we get to that, other score from yesterday, St. Aug 49, Bowie 48. No, excuse me, that's today's score. Going over to yesterday, Shaw 62, Bowie 53. But there were 3 games slated for today in the CIAA. I think some of these may have been reschedules due to COVID or some other issues. So today's scores, if you have not been paying attention on the women's side, Winston-Salem 62, Fayetteville 57, and St. Aug 49, Bowie 48. And the other one is we've got Johnson C. Smith defeating Livingstone, but we do not have a score reported. We just see the victory up on the Johnson C. Smith website that they won in that game. So if we happen to get that score before we close this show out, we will update you with that score. Other one is the forgotten HBCU, and that one is West Virginia State, my brother. Doing good over there in the Mountain East Conference. They defeated Charleston on yesterday out of West Virginia, 76-67. And you talk about a team that They only scored 76 points. I've seen this team score in the 90s consistently throughout the year. This team is an offensive juggernaut. So don't sleep on West Virginia State. They may be one of those teams. They play in a tough Mountain East Conference. They are going to have a uphill battle to win, as I believe they have 2 or 3 teams that are in the top 25 in their conference. But once again, another good team that we need to keep an eye out for there, Jamie.
Most definitely. I mean, West Virginia State is doing well right now overall as a school and a program, really just getting back into ascension where folks are starting to notice them. And so when you're talking about a program that wants to do, wants to be in that upper echelon of HBCUs, hey, you got to give them their credit. And so when you're looking at them being able to score 90 in the 90s and really in a tough conference being able to make waves, it's a great thing. They can't do anything but go up at this point, I think.
One final score of note from yesterday: Miles 59, Spring Hill 42. You may ask, why do I bring up the Miles Spring Hill game, considering Miles is one of the top teams in the SIAC and Spring Hill is one of the bottom dwellers in the SIAC? That's because Miles and Tuskegee play each other tomorrow in Tuskegee, Alabama. So that's going to be for SIAC West supremacy. Throw in the fact that it's a rival game, Jamie. That crowd that you saw on that video right there, you got to have that and more on a Monday night also. Because I worked at Tuskegee, I coached at Tuskegee. Saturday afternoon games do not draw. A Monday night game will draw. I'm gonna leave.
Now, are they regulating? Now, are they limited in attendance, or is it open?
I think it's open as of right now. Last I've heard, I've been to a couple of games down there. One thing about the James Arena, the arena seats 5,000 people. So, it's a lot easier to still get a crowd in there and still space out versus some of the smaller arenas that we have in HBCU basketball, where you only get 2,000 people in or 1,500 people in. So when you've got a 5,000 capacity arena, you can still get a good crowd there, a loud crowd. And if you've never been in the James Center, the acoustics in that gym are very good. When the band gets to playing in the James Arena, along with that crowd making noise, it is tough for an opponent in the Chappie James Arena. Throw in a winning basketball team. Oh, it's one of the best basketball atmospheres that you will have in HBCU basketball. I would say it would almost not. It's not a CIAA atmosphere, but it's the next best thing.
Okay, all right, because you saying something there. Because I grew up in CIAA country.
I won't put it there, but it's that next level. If the CIAA atmosphere is a Bentley, this would be a Cadillac.
Okay. Yeah. See, I gotta check. You know what? Again, I know, and follow me on Twitter, Sport Voice JW or JW. But man, it's just so many visits and so many atmospheres. When COVID gets over, or at least down to where we can deal with it, without cancellations and things of that nature, there are so many venues I want to hit up. And like I said, growing up in the state of North Carolina, of course, growing up when A&T was in MEAC country, I've been in a lot of those atmospheres, a lot of CIAA atmospheres, but I'm getting into, SWAC and SIAC venues that I just want to see. I'm telling you, I want to see the Shed at full capacity. So it looks like I'm going to have to see, the James Center at full capacity as well and see what this atmosphere is like.
Yeah. Look, the SIAC messed one thing up when they split the conferences up and made the Tuskegee Morehouse game a every other year game, when that was a home and home series, and the schedulers put that game on a Saturday afternoon. I said the games don't draw on Saturdays. That was the one game that would draw on a Saturday afternoon in Tuskegee, Alabama. Tuskegee Morehouse at the James Arena. So
okay,
just letting you know. Flip it over to the men's side, Jamie. Couple scores of note: Virginia Union and Lincoln, PA. Has anybody noticed Lincoln, PA is back in the basketball business, my brother? Well, they may be back in the business, but Virginia Union never got out of the business, and they defeated Lincoln 97-90 on Saturday. And CIAA basketball at its best. I'll let you go ahead and digress on that, my brother.
Listen, man. Whoa. I might have to take that trek to Baltimore this year. I might have to get up there. I mean, when you're talking about that kind of basketball, you know, you compare it to football, and it's no comparison because once they all get together, it's just, you know, in these bandbox arenas that's loud and raucous, and you're talking about great basketball. Like if you're a basketball purist, you just love what you're seeing. I mean, in every facet, the shooting, you know, even low post work. I mean, everything. But then take that, you know, just the pure basketball from the pure basketball standpoint. Take that and put the environments that go along with it. I mean, it's competitive, hard-nosed basketball. That's a throwback to when basketball was, you know, about the skill and environment that went with it, not just about, you know, everything else outside of that. This is the purity of basketball at its finest when you're talking about this environment.
One other score of note from Saturday, well, the only other score from Saturday in the CIAA, Shaw defeated Bowie State 73-62. And in Sunday action on the men's side, Fayetteville State defeated Winston-Salem State. Two top programs, not only in the CIAA, but in the HBCU polls, 66-54. So those are your CIAA matchups. Also playing today, no score reported on Livingstone and Johnson C. Smith. That game was started at 4:00 Eastern. So we should be seeing, hopefully before this show closes out, they will have that game posted. And I don't know who plays on Sunday night, but they've got this game scheduled at Sunday night on the CIAA website at 7:00 tip. Bowie State and St. Aug. So another one of those games that was rescheduled. I think the game was originally scheduled for yesterday, but the fact that you're playing at 7:00 on a Sunday night, you know, I don't know if somebody had a football game that they wanted to watch or something. So I know if you watched that first game today, the Rams and the Bucks, you didn't miss anything. I'll just leave it at that.
You said they didn't miss anything.
Nah, you didn't miss anything. Unless if you're a Rams fan, and for me, I'm a Buck. I was a Bucks fan till they signed Tom Brady. I'm just gonna leave it right there, my brother. You know, I've just have never been a Tom Brady fan ever since he defeated my St. Louis Rams back for his first Super Bowl victory.
You know, well, we're going to have to go into that one day in a different format. But yeah. I'm not sure why they would play on a Sunday night either, but hey, it is what it is. When you're in the midst of COVID, you're just trying to get these games in at this point. And, you know, you don't want to back the schedule up because you know, especially in CIAA, you know you got this huge event coming. So, you know, let's get these games in and then, you know, see what happens in Baltimore.
Right. SIAC matchup, whose tournament will be in Rock Hill, South Carolina, since we talked about what those tournaments will be at. On yesterday, Central State, this is on the men's side, Central State defeated Lane 57-54. LeBourne defeated Tuskegee 97-93. Miles defeated Spring Hill 87-58. And this is always a battle when you down here in South Georgia, where I live at. Fort Valley defeated Albany State 67-63. And Benedict defeated Savannah State 80-74. One last Division II score of note. Let's go back to West Virginia State. The women are good. The men are good also. And they defeated Charleston 86-75 on yesterday. So last comments on Division II there, Jamie.
I'm looking forward to what Morehouse can do. I know they've had some changes due to COVID with not having crowds there. So I'm always intrigued, in how the basketball players are able to respond to not having crowds in the building. And so they've been playing really good ball so far. We'll see what goes on.
All right. Before we go to break, Jamie, Tamara T says, no Aggie fan, but I like the artwork, Jamie.
I saw it. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
In the background.
Thank you.
And Chuck Hunt chimed in. I just learned about the volumes at the Tuskegee basketball arena. I would have never thought it. Brother, as loud as it could get in the basketball arena, the shed is still second to none. That I'll put that up against anybody's football. The stadium don't look the best, but the acoustics from that shed, I'll put that up against anybody's in that student section right there. All right, there. With that, let's go ahead. Let's take another break, Jamie. When we come back from the break, we're gonna get into the NAIA, and then if we have time, we're gonna get into another little story that popped across the screen that I would really would like to get your 2 cents on. You're listening and watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Drew, along with Jamie Walker, sitting in for Brian Fulford. We will be right back after this.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music. The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character.
Oh, that spin class was brutal.
Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot.
Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call it credit.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Eddie Drew, along with Jamie Walker, sitting in for Brian Fulford. I was supposed to do this last break, so I'm going to go ahead and catch this up, Jamie. If you have not already done it, please like, subscribe, share, download this podcast. And if you're really feeling good about it, donate to this podcast. Myself, you can find me online at BCSN Drew, BCSN DREW on Twitter. Jamie, tell everybody where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at SportVoiceJW. SportVoiceJW on Twitter.
Now that we got all that stuff out the way, let's get back into this sports stuff, man. Let's go to NAIA, and let's start on the women's side. Let's start with the Rust Bears. A quiet, if you could say the word quiet, 16-3 to start off the season. You know, Talladega, both on the men's and the women's side, have been the dominant teams when it comes to NAIA basketball, but Russ, former GCAC foe of Talladega, is quietly off to a 16-3 start as they began conference play, picking up their first victory in the conference over this past weekend. Also, once again, Talladega losers of 2 in a row this past week. So Talladega, it has kind of, I don't know if it's COVID or if it's just running into some good basketball in a brand new conference. No, check that. They did win on Friday night. I've got that incorrect. They lost 2 out of 3 on the week. They defeated Mobile 95-87 on Friday night. And going back to that Russ score, Russ defeated Fisk, new member to the GCAC, 84-66. Langston, friend of the program, Ashika Alexander, they've lost a couple in a row this past week. They lost to Oklahoma City University, 88-68, just right up the road from them there, Oklahoma City University. Dropped Langston's record down to, I believe, 14-6 on the season. We'll see it when we get to the rankings what their score is. But you know, I just love the Ashika Alexander story with her, the obstacles that she overcame. Had a chance to do a free agent tryout in the WNBA, did not make it, but because she played NAIA ball, had the opportunity to go back to school to continue her education and have talked to us. I think she's going to give it a shot again in the WNBA before she possibly considers a career overseas. And another team that people have kind of slept on this year, Jamie, is the Florida Memorial Lions. They are 10-6, 6-2 in a very tough Sun Conference. The Sun Conference, both on the men and the women's side, is probably the toughest conference in NAIA basketball. They defeated St. Thomas 83-69 on yesterday. Any comments on those women's scores there that I've given you?
No, just the story of Ashika Alexander, and being able to come back to the school. I wonder why that has not spread throughout regular, division, NCAA basketball or NCAA sports in general, because I think that's a good thing. I mean, you're trying, you want to see if you can go professional, and that's always the goal of collegiate, of collegiate students anyway, regardless of whether they're playing sports or not. Just finding their way in life and seeing what she eventually wants to do, and then being able to come back to school if it doesn't work out. So I love the story. I love the fact that, in certain senses, I don't know if you call it humility or whatever, but once you find out and you don't, achieve that goal, being able to come back and work harder and know what it takes to get to that level going forward and coming back to school and motivating others to do the same. I love the story.
Well, I wonder what she learned at that level, because the last couple of years, Langston has been a 500 or so team. I think her first year there, they were under 500. Last year, they were right around 500 regular season. But they're winning this year. So maybe some of those lessons she learned during the trial with the Minnesota Lynx, she's brought back some of those techniques and things to the team and has made her teammates better. And that's also a good goal. You know, she hasn't gotten that the big head that, hey, I had a chance to play in the league and I'm down here with y'all. No, it doesn't look like she has that attitude, and she's translated that into W's on the court for her collegiate sisters. I was about to say collegiate brethren, but her collegiate sisters there.
Right.
Moving over to the men's side, Talladega continuing their dominance. They're 17-1. And speaking of the number 17, their 17th straight victory in their new arena, the Hawkins Student Activity Center, since they opened that arena up last year. They defeated Faulkner 76-69. If you know anything about NAIA basketball, Faulkner is no team to sleep on. They are now 15-4, 7-2 in the Southern States Athletic Conference. So shout out to Talladega. Another team in the SSAC, Stillman, defeated Bruton Parker 85-60. And Jamie, I'm looking forward for when these two HBCUs meet again. I believe it's either February 4th or February 6th, whatever that Thursday is, in Tuscaloosa for the rematch. Talladega defeated Stillman earlier this year, but I want to see when these two teams get together once again, because I love seeing these HBCU on HBCU matchups in non-HBCU conferences. Team that's playing in what I like to call a hybrid conference, the Red River Athletic Conference, with half of the conference being HBCUs, lost on this past Saturday. They lost 70-60 to LSU Shreveport. So it was a foul-ridden game. 30 fouls, 25 turnovers. I know you're not the biggest basketball man, Jamie, but me as a basketball man, that is not a formula for victory against a good team. That's not a formula for victory against a bad team a lot of times.
Not at all. It's not.
Yes. Yeah. So that pretty much handles the scores that I wanted to highlight as on the NAIA level, both on the men and the women's side. One article that I said I wanted to get into, Jamie, and get your thoughts on this, and this is courtesy of the Undefeated, and it is entitled HBCUs Giving Former NBA Players Rare Opportunities as Head Coach. The NBA Players Association is working to increase the numbers. I don't know if you had a chance to read this article, Jamie. If you did, what were some of your opinions on this article?
I think it's a catch-22 because you are appreciative of the opportunities that exist where HBCUs are giving opportunities for former NBA players to come in and coach. You've seen that at Alabama State. You've seen that at Clark Atlanta. You've seen that in various other places where, opportunities aren't there. But along with that, and I think, if we stick to basketball for a second, you see those kind of instances where now the NBA is even kind of taking former players and giving them opportunities on that level. I'm not sure if it kind of correlates to what opportunities exist within the HBCU ranks, but it's a good thing when you kind of get that, get that exposure. But this is also where I can understand the concerns of those that have put in the work over the years, played, grad assistant, moved on to staffs, put in the grunt work to have an opportunity to one day become a head coach that went the long route, and how they would feel some kind of way. I always ask that question on the football level as well, where you have coaches that have been quote unquote paying their dues for an extended period of time and have all of a sudden former NFL players that are coming in and, for lack of a better term, taking those opportunities. Now, it's worked out in certain instances where the notoriety and the just the attention to your school gets in where players are starting to notice, hey, you're mixing in with NBA circles, and all kinds of things in NFL circles as well. But for the coach that has done it a different way and taken a long route, is it taking away opportunities from them? And so it really is a catch-22. I really think it depends on the school. I think that Darryl Walker was at Clark Atlanta first,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so when you're looking at former player, and like I said, he wasn't I would say a NBA superstar, quote unquote, but definitely played for a long time and got the opportunity to coach on this level. So you love to see those opportunities. But again, you could see the reverse side of that. I don't know who's been vocal about losing opportunities, but I know, will they say it out loud? Those that have went another route, I don't know. Because I think we do a lot to protect our institutions as HBCUs and keep them in good standing and good footing amongst that. But that would be a viable question if somebody asked.
Well, and I'm all over the place on this this subject. Very good article. And this article was by Pete. Excuse me if I mispronounce his name. Charges to my head, not my heart. Corrado of the Undefeated. First of all, full disclosure, I did work as an assistant for a former NBA player who was a collegiate coach at Tuskegee University, that being Leon Douglas. Leon Douglas played in the league for 8 years, 4 years with the Pistons, 4 years with the then Kansas City Kings, which kind of dates you as to how long ago it was when he played in the league. But Tuskegee was not his first collegiate job. He spent 2 years at Stillman, who was an NAIA school. Actually, he was there when Stillman made the transition from NAIA to Division II and the SIAC. And then Tuskegee hired him away from Stillman when Stillman became a full member. The year after Stillman became a full member of the SIAC. So I've worked for a former NBA player. First of all, they are no different than anyone else. Sometimes people have these. Okay, Douglas played center. He was a 5 in the league. He guarded players such as Bob Lanier. Played with Bob Lanier. He used to tell the stories about when he used to go up against Jabbar and different things like that. So one thing people always would say is, he played in the league. He was a big man. Why he ain't got no big man? Or why his big man ain't doing this? Well, just because he made it as a big man does not mean that this 6'8" kid, and no disrespect to the players we had, because we had some good players, and they did their role, but that don't mean they're going to score 20 points and snatch off 10 boards and everything else because their coach did. I mean, he worked. Those players worked in practice. Those players got the most out of their talent, and he worked to get the most out of the talent of the players that he had on campus when he got there, and the players he recruited over the 10 years that he was at Tuskegee. So, with that being said, Jamie, have you ever went up for a job and you were overqualified for the job, and people won't give you the interview because you're overqualified, because they're wondering what your ulterior motive is, all he gonna do is sit here, work this job for a few months, and then until something else better comes along, and then he's out the door. And that
Absolutely.
that may be the motivation. That may not be the motivation. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of these ex NBA players. People think they're overqualified. Then, what's to say that you've got to spend all this time and it says in the article, cutting film, washing, doing laundry, doing the 5 o'clock, doing all the stuff that I had to do as an assistant. Well, damn, you did that as a player. You got to the ultimate level, which is where these kids are trying to get to. Maybe you can see that one that has the opportunity, pull him to the side and show him some of the things that got you to the level or guide him down the right path. Is it what you want outside of these kids getting their education? Is to help these kids get to that next level if they have that talent? Be it here in the league or overseas in a league? Isn't that what you want? Why not have somebody who can mentor them who's been there at that level? So I do have mixed emotions. I wish, and for a lot of these guys, it's not the fact that they don't get the job, they don't get the interviews. That's what, and I know a couple of former NBA players who've tried to go to HBCUs. Well, and it's not just HBCUs, but for the focus of this article, we're talking about HBCUs who've tried to go to HBCUs who couldn't even get the interview. And I think that's sad. And I know one in particular where the athletic director at an HBCU played a different sport for a Power 5 school, but they both went to the same Power 5 school, 2 different times, 2 different eras, but they both attended the same Power 5 school, and both were athletes at that same Power 5 school. Didn't even get an interview from a fellow alum. So
interesting.
It's tough, you know. Obviously, I'm not gonna throw any names out because I don't never want to throw anyone under the bus. But you know, I would love to see. I think all these people, they don't want to be given anything because they wasn't given anything when they got to the league. They worked to get to the league, but they just like when they went to their combine or whatever to be scouted to get drafted. All they want is that opportunity to show their skills. So I'll just leave it right there. Any last words on that, Jamie?
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. It is a different kind of dilemma because the institution as well has to have input on what they want that individual to be for their school. So I think that says a lot as well.
Yeah. And I said last word, but I do have to get this off. For those coaches who cut their teeth and feel that they're not given the opportunity because some NBA guy came in, and I've been in that situation myself, I have to chalk it up to life. You have to chalk it up for life. The haves versus the have-nots. This man was blessed with height. This man was blessed with the ability to shoot, dribble, pass, whatever it is that I was not blessed with. That doesn't mean that I wasn't blessed with the knowledge. The only thing that I can say is I hope you need an assistant because I don't mind being that assistant because my success is your success. And if I ride your coattail long enough, maybe I'll get my opportunity. That's all I can hope. And sometimes the assistants and an assistant, you have to prove yourself. But if you're an assistant at a Division I program, sometimes you have to go down to NAIA to prove yourself. You have to go to Division II to prove yourself. Sometimes you have to leave the comfort of an HBCU to go prove yourself. I'll leave it at that. And speaking of proving yourself, Jamie, we've got some teams that have proven themselves. They've proven themselves so good, they are in the BCSN top 5 rankings. So when we come back from the break for our last segment, we're gonna get into the rankings. We're gonna hear if JB likes the computers or wants to throw the computers away and tell me that the computers have a virus when we put these rankings up on the screen. You're listening, watching to the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Drew, Jamie Walker sitting in for Brian Fulford. We'll be right back after this.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Drew along with Jamie Walker, getting ready for the last segment. Before we get into these rankings, Jamie, producer Roy shot over that matchup that I was talking about when Benedict returns to Savannah State will happen on Valentine's Day, February 14th. I don't think there's going to be a lot of love in the building in Tiger Arena for that rematch when Savannah and Benedict played the Battle of the Tigers, February 14th in Savannah, Georgia. Also, Chuck Hunt chimed in. Those who are former pro players do not guarantee great coaches. They are great at networking. Those who have done the grunt work as coaches do get overlooked. Eric Dooley type coaches seem to be becoming rare, which he worked his way up. Throw one more into that conversation there, Chuck. Don't forget about Willie Simmons down at Florida A&M, who worked his way up also. So, yeah, you are right, though, Chuck. They are becoming they are a little bit I won't say they're rare. We just at a new trend, a new phase. Thanks to Coach
That's
Prime
exactly what I was
coming
thinking.
in and
That
having
word
success.
was exactly it. Yeah, that word trend. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Producer Roy just said, also, speaking of Ashika Alexander in the NCAA, because she did return to an NAIA school, which allows you to go pro and come back as long as you don't sign an agent. And that is the same rule that they have for NCAA, as long as you do not sign with an agent. But I wonder how that goes now with the new NIL. I wonder if there will be some alterations to that rule. But that's a conversation for a different show, though. All right, Jay. Let's get into these polls, man. We're gonna start off on the men's side. Coming in at number 5, North Carolina Central, the other North Carolina team, Jamie. I'm sorry. Coming in at 4-10, 1-0 in conference, 167 points. Just ahead of them with 168 points, Texas Southern, 6-10, 4-3 in conference, 170 points. Got it right there, 3, 4, and 5, all bottled up. Alcorn with a 5-13 record, 4-2 in the SWAC. Coming in at number 2, 206 points. Southern University, 8-8, 4-1 in the SWAC. And did you really have any doubt who was the number 1 team, Jamie? Norfolk State, 232 points, 10-4, 4-0 in the MEAC conference. And for all those keeping in mind with the Division One. No, we do not count wins, losses, or games played against non-Division One programs, thus the discrepancy in the records. Yes, we know Norfolk has about 3 more victories than that are showing on that screen, but for our rankings, we only count wins against other Division One programs. In the hunt, Howard, North Carolina A&T, Florida A&M, and South Carolina State. Your thoughts on the men's rankings? Did the computers get them right, Jamie?
For the most part, they did. I think Howard Central could have been interchangeable. I think, when you're talking about that close loss, I guess, to Notre Dame, along with just what they've been doing in the MEAC in general. I think the only thing that's holding them back is the fact that they have not played enough MEAC games to really have that record extend. But I think you'll see them in the thick of things going forward. A&T, tough Big South Conference in that you got a lot of mid-majors, former mid-majors that have done, some things in the Big South while they, even with them being in other conferences at one point. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what FAMU continues to do in the SWAC, because I think that victory the other night really did a lot to give them the confidence to go on in the SWAC. And again, no, I didn't see it coming as far as their basketball in the SWAC. But hey, who knows? So we'll see. I think the computer got it pretty much right. No viruses within this program.
All right, we're gonna see if we got any spyware or anything else as we move on to the Division One women's poll. As we've got the wrong. Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back. Let's go to the Division Two men while I sent my producer the Division One women's poll. Give me just a moment while I send this email. The art of live production is there, Jamie.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm looking at it. I mean, what's showing right now, the Division Two men.
Division Two men.
Virginia Union. Well, we'll start with 5. I'm sorry about that. In 5th place, Lincoln, PA, 208 points, 12-5, 5-1 in conference. Fayetteville State, 9-6, 4-1 in the CIAA. Miles in 3rd place, 212 points, 12-3, 10-1. Benedict in 2nd place with 217 points, 13-4, 9-1 in the SIAC. And at number 1, Virginia Union, we talked about them earlier, 225 points, 12-4, 5-1 in the CIAA. And again, you can see their ascension just continuing to be able to play ball. We talked about that corridor, the Bowies, the Virginia Unions, that northeastern part of the of both really the CIAA and the MEAC, really playing good basketball. But again, Virginia Union just really being the cream of the crop of the CIAA so far. In the hunt, Winston-Salem State, who really is coming along. You see their conference record. They've been able to fulfill a lot of conference games in that CIAA. But you can see them coming on in the game center. West Virginia State, we talked about them earlier. 13-5, 8-3 again in that tough Eastern Division. Morehouse, I talked about them. They have been playing really good basketball. No crowds, but really doesn't seem to be affecting them so far. They're in the hunt. And of course, Tuskegee getting that win the other day has made them ascend into another stratosphere at this point. We'll see if they can continue that. And then Lamar and Owen, 10-5, 4-4 in conference. So we'll see, all of them being in the hunt. But again, I think, so far so good. You can, Fayetteville State's always intriguing. I grew up in that area. And so, Capel Arena has always been a raucous environment in the CIAA. And I think, their conference record really gives them a leg up So we'll see. Miles is intriguing to me, just in general. As much as they are a football school, they're playing really good basketball. You talked about them and Tuskegee getting together. So, we'll see if they can continue that going forward. But I don't see anything wrong. I think this is okay. But I think you'll see Winston-Salem State jump into into the rankings going forward.
Yeah. Essentially, on Monday, with Miles being number 3 and Tuskegee being in the hunt, is basically a top 10 matchup on Monday between Tuskegee and Miles. And just a shame that Clark and Morehouse, who were supposed to play on yesterday, did not get to play on yesterday. So that's always an intriguing matchup with the battle of the AU Center between those two teams right there. Let's move over to the NA. Since we're doing men, let's see if we get to the NAIA men. Yes. All right. Coming in with the NAIA men, we'll start off with the in the hunt teams this time. We've got Russ, Florida Memorial, and Morris, who has not played in about 2 weeks, still hanging around in the hunt. But probably if they don't play this week or don't get a game in this week, they might fall off the chart as far as the rankings go. Just want to throw that out there. Coming in at number 5 after a loss this week was Xavier, 10-4, 2-3 in the Red River Athletic Conference. Kind of tough when you see a team like Xavier under 500 at this point in the season there, Jamie, but it is what it is. Tougaloo, 9-6, 1-0, played their first conference game. The GCAC doesn't start conference play until real late, so they just got their first conference game in on yesterday. Stillman, as we mentioned before, 12-3, 5-3. Paul Quinn, who is not eligible to go to the tournament this year, I believe that's because they're still making a transition from, I believe they were a USCAA team last year, even though they were in the Red River Athletic Conference. They're coming into the NAIA's full member. I believe that's why they are ineligible. Did not play this week, so they are 13-0, 4-0 in the Red River. And as we said, 17 wins is 17 wins. I don't care how you get them, who you get them against. Talladega, 17-1, 7-0 in the Southern States Athletic Conference. So did the computers get the men right, Jamie?
I like what the computers did as far as this is concerned. I think we're good to go here, even though we talk about Tougaloo and really them having, only being 1-0 in the conference. You said they play their conference dates late. So we'll see if they can continue holding that number 4 spot.
All right, let's move over to the women. Let's start with the Division I, if we can. My producer told me I sent the same image back to him. Okay, I guess I missaved that one. So I will just call that one out while I try to upload that image. Let's go to the Division II women while we do that. And if Jamie reads off those Division II women, I will correct the correction that my boo-boo. How we'll just put it like that.
Cool, no problem. In 5th place, West Virginia State with 200 points, 10-4, 6-3 in the Mountain East. In 4th place, Benedict College, 206 points, 12-6, 7-2 in the SIAC. Lincoln PA, 215 points, 12-4, 5-1 in the CIAA. In 2nd place, Savannah State, 226 points, 14-1, 9-1 in the SIAC. And in 1st place, Tuskegee, 231 points, 11-2 overall, 6-1 in the SIAC. So in the hunt, Miles, along with Elizabeth City State, which is, I'll go ahead and say, a surprise for me. But look at that record. I think they'll be jumping in there pretty soon. So both of those with really, really good conference records are doing well so far. And I'm not sure what the last ranking was. I'm sure Savannah State was number 1. before this
They were
loss.
number one. And Tuskegee actually rose from 5-1 based upon the last ranking. And just want to let my producer know to check his email to go ahead and see that corrected image that we have for him. But yes, they rose from 5-1 on the heels of 3 outstanding victories over this past week. Hey, I'm gonna give you something else. I'm gonna give you something else, Jamie. Number 5, strength of schedule, because you know strength of schedule goes into our computer formula. West Virginia
It
State.
does. Okay.
Number 5 in the ranking, West Virginia State. Just to show you how much West Virginia State uh, really does play in a tough conference. Probably of these top 5 teams, they have the toughest schedule, hands down, with a 10-4 record, 6-3 in conference. All right, moving over to the NAIA women. Russ ascends to the number 1 spot, 16-3, 1-0 in conference. And I know I'm going through these in other order this time. Talladega, 223 points, 11-6. Talladega with a couple losses on the week. Xavier jumped into the polls this week. They had been in the hunt. They was in 1 week. They were out 1 week, but they are in at a solid number 3, 8-6, 4-1 in the Red River Athletic Conference. Wow, they jumped Langston, who lost 2 games this week. 13-6, 8-5 in the Sooner Athletic Conference, 174 points. And once again, that team that I said nobody is paying attention to, Florida Memorial, 173 points, 9-7, 6-2 in that tough Sun Conference. And then you've got a couple other teams hanging around. Dillard 4-9, Stillman 6-8. Philander Smith. I guarantee you, once Philander Smith with a 13-4 record plays a conference game, because conference record does play a portion in this formula, they will jump into that top 5. Your thoughts, Jamie?
I think you're right. Especially factoring in that they haven't played in the conference games yet. They will be in there. Florida Memorial, like what they're doing in the Sun Conference. Again, you're talking about some really good basketball played there, and right now they're right in the thick of things and being able to get there. But Xavier, who really you're talking about that particular conference and the kind of ball and the style of ball they play. It's really doing well. 4-1 in the Red River. That's huge. So we'll see what goes on going forward. But looking at the rest of the conference records, it looks like a lot of these conference records are evenly matched in general. So it'll be interesting to see what the computer does once the conference records really get to a certain point.
Yeah, strength of schedule. Number 2 on HBCU strength of schedule. Excuse me. Number 1 HBCU strength of schedule is Talladega. Number 2, Stillman. Number 6, Langston. Number 8, Florida Memorial. Did I just go through 4 of the top 5 with the top strength of schedules there, Jamie? So these teams have earned it. And my producer just said in my ear that we will be producing Stillman's homecoming basketball games right here on the Black College Sports Network. Mr. Producer, do you have a date for that? That will be February 19th there, Jamie. So, if you put that on your calendar, you ride straight down 20 from Atlanta, get there in about 2.5, 3 hours. Might see you there, my brother.
All right. We'll talk about it.
All right. Just throwing it out there. I hope I didn't just hire you, and the producer didn't want to hire you. But anyway, moving over to the Division I women. And I'm kind of glad this one is last, because I actually have the numbers right here in front of me, Jamie. And I'm going to start with the in the hunt teams. And it's something I don't do, but I have got to take these computer numbers out to 2 decimal places just for you to understand how tight it is from 5 to 9 on these rankings, which are those in the hunt teams. Howard in the hunt, 169.71. Alabama A&M, 170.22. You see, those two teams are right there, separated by less than half a point. Now let's move to the next category, next level. Arkansas Pine Bluff, 179.22. Morgan State, 179.51. Southern, our number 5 team, 179.54. Let me give you those again. UAPB, 179.22. Morgan State, 179.51. Southern, 179.54. That is 0.35 separates teams 5, 6, and 7.
You're talking about finite numbers right there. You're just bare. I mean, just razor thin.
It's a statistical tie. Basically, this is a statistical tie. Coming in at number 4, Norfolk State, 5-7, 2-0. Coming in at number 3, Coppin State, 8-8, 2-1 in conference. Coming in at number 2, Tennessee State, 9-8, 5-2 in the Ohio Valley Conference. And coming in at number 1, was there any doubt anywhere, anyone? Jackson State.
No.
228 points, 8-6 record overall, 6-0 in conference. And that goes back to that thing I was talking about, the non-conference. When you do that, gives them 2-4 on the Division I level non-conference. So we've seen what they could do in the HBCU sphere, but when they get against other mid majors and major programs, they've been 2-4 on the Division I level. What say you about our computer?
We got it as we could. I mean, you're talking about data points that are dead heats. I mean, they're tied, like statistically tied. It's nothing you can do about it. So those that stand out are obviously standing out, and you can kind of see what's going on here. So I have no objections, no viruses detected.
All right, good. It's nice to know my Norton is still working, on my McAfee or whatever virus protection that you use, my Avast or something. Jamie, any final thoughts before we pick up the show and get out of here?
Man, this all right now is phenomenal. It will come to who is COVID. Quite honest, and a mix of game plan. You would, people are available. You see your schedule at the beginning of the year. How to work out things. It doesn't work. Thought good, and you're having to match those coaching staffs that are able to kind of do things like how to navigate those waters as far as this will come out the victors when it comes to both conference play and tournament play.
Yeah. My final thoughts are going to be two things. Number one, basketball. And I keep saying this. These COVID, not the postponements, but these COVID forfeits. How will this affect the various conference tournaments? Will we see teams that did not get in, that should have gotten in and deserved to get in when they were able to get on the court? Will we see teams that are in who should not have gotten in because of those forfeits? And then Will we see matchups on day one? There should be day two or championship matchups because of these records and the reordering of some of these rankings because of this virus. And yes, this virus is real. If you have not, go boost yourself, protect yourself. I don't care what your governor or whatever state you in tells you, because some of these governors are idiots and they're just playing to the political money. Wear your mask. Take care of yourself. No governor should have to tell you to take care of yourself. You should be smart enough to take care of yourself. But number two, Jamie, we are just over 2 weeks away. No, we are less than 2 weeks away from signing day. 2 Wednesdays from now. So if y'all don't believe football is a 12-month business, it is. Because you know what comes after signing day, my brother? Spring practice.
Spring practice.
Yes, spring practice. So, you know, I know y'all been putting up with us in basketball because some of y'all don't like basketball. Y'all don't understand why we got to put the ball through the hoop. But there are other people out there wonder why you got to hit that man that hard why he carrying that ball. He ain't doing nothing but trying to get to the painted grass. So, but yes, football is a true season. And the only thing concern I have, we've got 2-3 HBCUs who still haven't announced their coaches. And signing day is less than 2 weeks away, Jamie. So fans of those schools, Clark Atlanta, Miles, and now Fort Valley, temper your expectations. Let's have some realistic expectations next year when you look at it. And I know one of those schools is on my schedule at Tuskegee. I hope the other two are, because coming off of 3 and whatever season we had this year, we need some dubs.
So y'all need some get back.
we need some get back, especially at Fort Valley. We definitely need to get back on that one. With that, Jamie, we're going to pick up this show and get out of here. So once again, tell everybody where they can find you at, my brother, how to get in touch with you, shows you're doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, not doing any shows right now. I'm telling you, man, I'm the jack of all trades, master of none. So I get in where I fit in. But you can reach me on Twitter at SportVoiceJW. So you'll see me or hear me on a broadcast near you.
All right, then. That's Jamie Walker right there. And don't forget, every Sunday night, right here on the Black College Sports Network, join us for the BCSN SportsWrap. Listen to not only this show, but the whole family of shows that we have here on the Black College Sports Network. And when we're not on, go find other black media, other HBCU media. But we want you to start here first. You see that button down there? Hit that button, like, and subscribe. We definitely need you to like and subscribe this. Share it with a friend. Share it with somebody who's not your friend. I don't care. Just share it. Donate. And you can download this also. You can download the audio version of this podcast and all the podcasts for the Black College Sports Network on your favorite streaming service. Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, you name it, we're on there. The BCSN Pod Zone. You can catch my normal partner, Brian Fulford, at DRB365. Shout out to you, Brian. Hope everything is going okay for you. We look forward to having you back here on next Sunday, and also to join him on the ONG Strike Zone this Wednesday right here on the Black College Sports Network, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And my name is AD Drew. You can catch me on Twitter at BCSN Drew, BCSN DREW. So for my producer, Roy Evans, my guest host, Jamie Walker, once again, and my partner could not hear here, Brian Fulford. My name is AD Drew. We're going to pick up this show. We out of here. We holla at you.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.